In the shadows of Rotterdam and other towns, hundreds of children were being exploited, while adults who should have protected them hesitated. Amidst this, a small group of individuals refused to stay silent. These were the whistleblowers, the truth tellers who risked careers, reputations, and even personal safety to expose the abuse. Jane Senior, a senior youth worker, was among the first to raise alarms. She meticulously documented repeated instances of sexual exploitation, naming offenders like Shabir Ahmed, Adil Khan, and Arshid Hussain. Her warnings, delivered to council officials and social services, were often ignored or minimized. Yet she persisted, driven by a belief that children's safety could not be compromised for a political convenience. Detective Sergeant Mark Ellison, a dedicated police officer, also fought against institutional inertia. He submitted intelligence reports, tracked repeat offenders, and advocated for investigation. He repeatedly encountered resistance. Colleagues hesitated, fearing criticism or accusations of racism. Ellison later testified that every step he had to push against an entrenched culture of avoidance. Whistleblowers were not limited to council or police staff. Teachers, social workers, and care home staff also tried to draw attention to grooming networks. Many faced hostility, isolation, or threats to their employment. Some were told their concerns were overblown or politically sensitive, despite mounting evidence of repeated abuse. Now, the time of fictionalized reenactment. So, this is what happened in court. Jane Sr. Every girl I recorded, every note I filed, I knew that if nothing changed, they would continue to be harmed. Social worker colleagues, we have to follow protocol. But I see it too. It's happening again. Despite the efforts of these brave individuals, the media often fail to report the scale of abuse accurately. Early investigations were sporadic. Some journalists avoiding publishing stories that might inflame ethnic tensions. Investigative reports were delayed, suppressed, or watered down under pressure from authorities or editorial concerns. One senior journalist later reflected, "We knew reports existed, but fear of backlash, accusation of racism, and potential legal consequences made it difficult to publish." Many children remained invisible while adults debate reputations and politics. The consequence of media silence was profound. Without public scrutiny, councils and police were not compelled to act. Patterns of abuse went unchallenged. Predators continued to operate. Emboldened by the lack of accountability, victims were left without a voice in the public sphere. Whistleblowers like Jane Sr. continued to escalate their concerns. She raised issues in council meetings, wrote letters, and testified before internal investigations. Detective Ellison pressed for prosecution, yet their warnings were repeatedly delayed or ignored. Fear of public criticism paralyzed institutions. Eventually, inquiries such as the 2014 J reports and parliamentary hearings brought the truth to light. They confirmed that institutional inaction had allowed over 1,400 children to be exploited between 1997 to 2013. The reports acknowledged the critical role of whistleblowers who had kept records, documented offenders, and tried to compel action despite resistance. Courts recognized that without the persistence of whistleblowers, many offenders would have been remained free, and countless victims would have continued to suffer in silence. The courage of individuals like J. Senior contrasted sharply with the inertia of institutions unwilling to risk political or reputational fallout. Media silence was not always malicious, but it had the same effect, delaying awareness, burying evidence, and protecting offenders indirectly. Early investigative pieces were restricted or toned down. Community sensitivities were cited to avoid controversies. As a result, abuse continued unnoticed by the wider public for years. Whistleblowers are the last line of defense when institution failed, when media hesitates or censor critical reporting. Predators gain time. Courage and transparency are essential for accountability. Victims consistently testified that without whistleblowers, no one would have believed them. Their documentation became evidence for eventual prosecutions. Names like Shabir Ahmed, Adil Khan, and Arshid Hussain were eventually brought to court because someone refused to stay silent. By the early 2010, mounting pressure from whistleblowers and investigative journalists forced authorities to act. Councils were publicly criticized, police departments faced inquiries, convictions were obtained, and some officials resigned. But the years of silence left lasting scars on victims and communities.